friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be using a lot of products that I actually purchased at the recent Sephora sale. What I've been trying to do is like use these products like off camera and then come back and tell you guys how I feel about each product. So it's kind of going away from like the first impressions type videos. Not that I'm not gonna do those anymore. It's just that here recently I've wanted to try a lot of the makeup that I've already purchased, and I wanted to try it before I actually come on camera. So having said all that, I am going to show you guys some products that I have already tried, and I'm gonna let you know whether I really love the products or whether they're, you know, So I've already done my skincare. I do wanna prime my eyes first for you guys. I'm using my Mario primer. This is a primer I have been loving. So I'm gonna just take a little bit on my finger and I'm going to apply that to each of my lids. I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush and apply some of that powder that's in the palette to set that eye primer. So for eyes, I'm gonna show you two palettes that I purchased during that sale. One of them is by Lawless. It's the One Baby or the Baby One Lawless palette. This is what the packaging looks like. These are the shadows here. I will say that these shadows are really pigmented, very easily blendable, but I'm not excited about this palette. But I will say it is a good shadow palette. I am gonna apply these shadows on the eye today along with the other palette. So you guys can see that they are beautiful shadows. Most of them are matte. There are two shimmer shadows here. I am gonna apply this shade right here. I'm gonna use the Sonia G Blender Pro brush, and I'm just going to place that in my crease. And as you can see, it's blending in really nicely. It really doesn't take much effort with these shadows, which is really nice. So the next shade I'm gonna go into is this one right here. It's kind of like a purple matte shadow. I am using that same brush, but I'm gonna be a little bit more precise and get a little more into the crease with this shadow. All right, so now I'm gonna go into the next palette. I will come back to that Lawless one in a bit. I'm thinking I need another shade from that to complete the look. But for now, I'm gonna go into the Mcgrath Labs Mothership Mega Celestial Divinity palette. This palette is insane. It is so good. I have dabbled in this palette at least 4 times now, and every look that I've created with this palette has come out so spot on. I am just loving every shade in here. They're so creamy. They're really easy to use. I just love it. So today I am gonna use 2 shades that I've not used. I wanna do kind of like a halo eye look. I'm gonna go into this shade right here, and I'm using this angled brush. It's by BK Beauty. It's a 205, and I'm just going to place that shadow on the inner corner and the outer corner of my eye. Do you see how pigmented that is? It's just a really easy to use palette. Now, the one thing I found that I think this palette needed was some more transition shades. You can do a look using these shades by themselves, but for me, I like to have a transition shade. It's just a little bit easier for me to do a shadow look with the transition shade. It just kind of blends everything together. So that's the only thing about this palette. It doesn't have very many transition shades, or not even one, to be honest, that will transition you from one shade to the next. And not that you're gonna need a transition shade for it. I'm just saying I prefer a transition shade when I'm actually using this palette. So I didn't have to put much on my brush to actually deposit that color on the eye. I only had to get in there just a little bit, just kind of tap my brush in there, and as you can see, the color came off really nicely. This is my version of a halo eye. I know there's a lot of versions out there, and honestly, there's not a wrong version or a right version. I just say do you and whatever you feel comfortable with, but this is how I kind of do it. I'll actually deposit some color on the inner corner, the outer corner, and then I'll just kind of connect it right here in the crease. That's pretty much how I do it. I'm just gonna take a clean brush, and I'm going to actually blend everything very gently together. Guys, don't mind this curly mess that I have back here. I will be doing my hair at the end of this video, so just bear with me. It looks a little crazy right now. All right, so for the center of my eyelid, I'm gonna go in with this MAC 242 brush. I've really been wanting to use this shade right here. It kind of reminds me of a shade from MAC where it's like duochrome and it looks like kind of grayish blue, but then it has like a brown shift to it. So that's what I want to use on the center of my eyelid. And I love using this MAC 242 brush with these shadows, especially the real like duochromes or even the creamier shadows. I love using it because it picks up enough product, it lays the product down on the eyelid really nicely. So yeah, it's been working really well for me. So I'm just pressing that product into the eyelid, just in that center portion there. This does have just a tiny bit of fallout, but that's okay. I can clean it off before I do my foundation. That's a beautiful, beautiful shade. Now on the eyelid, looking into the mirror, it looks kind of like it has a green shift to it and not so much a brown shift. I wanted to go ahead and show you guys this palette up close. It's such a gorgeous palette, guys. I have been loving it. All right, so now I'm just gonna get a wipe and I'm going to clean off some of that fallout and kind of sharpen up that edge. And I was gonna go back into the Lawless palette and pull out a darker shade to kind of deepen that area, but I'm not gonna do that today. Just cleaning it up, making sure there's no fallout on my face before we do foundation. So for primer, I want to show you a product that I used and that I've been using, and I'm really not too crazy about it. First of all, it really doesn't do anything for my skin. To me, it doesn't even make my foundation last as long as some of my other primers. So I do want to show you this primer. I'm not going to put this on my face today because, like I said, I'm not real fond of it and I just don't feel like it does much for my skin. So this is the Huda Beauty Water Jelly Primer. This is supposed to actually be a hydrating primer that is supposed to hydrate your skin throughout the day and throughout the wear of your makeup. I do find that it's very liquidy when it goes on, which is not a problem. I think that's the way it's supposed to feel because it is hydrating, but I just felt like it just didn't do much for me. So I'm not gonna use it today, but I did wanna mention it because it didn't have any effect on me as far as the wear of my makeup or the longevity of it. So today I'm gonna go in with my Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer. I do love this primer with the foundation that I'm about to show you. I really felt like this primer worked well with it. For the center of my face, I'm gonna go in with my Makeup Revolution Pro. It's the Pore Perfecting Primer. And before we go into that foundation, I do wanna go ahead and color correct a little bit. I've actually gone back to color correcting. I just feel like it helps with my hyperpigmentation, which by the way is going away little by little with the medicine that I've been using. But this does help kind of keep it from showing through the foundation. It doesn't make it 100% not noticeable, but it does kind of tone it down. So I'm just gonna put it where I feel like I need it, in those areas where I do have hyperpigmentation. And then what I do is I just kind of pat it in, kind of blend it out with my finger. So for foundation today, I am going in with the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Stick Foundation. This is what it looks like. I have the shade Amaretti, and I'll show you guys the shade here. I really do feel like this is a really good close shade to my skin tone. I did use this with a brush because I felt like the brush gave me a lot more coverage. I did wear this for a complete 8-hour workday where I had to wear my mask. And at work, I take my mask off, I put it on, just depending where I'm at. But for the most part, I wear my mask pretty much throughout the day at work if I'm around people. I did find that this foundation did not really last with a mask. I did notice where it would kind of rub off, where the mask actually sat on my face. So to be honest, right now, this is really not a foundation that I would actually wear if you're going to have to wear a mask all day long. I would actually wear it, like say if you're gonna go to dinner, if places are still open and you're gonna go to dinner, or you're gonna do date night at home, or you're gonna be somewhere where you're not gonna have to actually cover your face the entire time. So this is not a good foundation for me to wear to work, but I did wear it outside of work and I do love this foundation. I think it looks so beautiful on the skin. And it didn't make me like super oily. I did get a little oily right here around my nose, but it wasn't something that was so like out of the ordinary for me. If I do get oily, it's usually like in that area. I will say if you're looking for a really good foundation that's gonna look really soft on the skin, that's not gonna look like super dewy or super matte, this is the foundation to try. So basically how I like to use the foundation is I like to grab the foundation brush that I'm gonna use, and I like to actually dab it onto the foundation. Basically what I did was I just kind of pressed it onto the skin, and you guys are gonna see, I'm gonna show you one side with it on and then one side with it off, and you guys are gonna see how flawless this foundation looks on the skin. It's so, so pretty. This shade is a little dark right now because I don't tan my face at all. My face always has sunblock on it, and I hardly ever try to expose it to the sun. At work, most of the time I'll wear a baseball cap at work, especially if it's gonna be real sunny outside, but it is a good shade for like my neck. Okay, so this is the side with the foundation. So you see the difference? So, so pretty. I'm gonna go ahead and speed through this, put my foundation on, and then when I'm done, we're gonna go ahead and start with the other products. All right guys, even though I color corrected, I'm still gonna go in with my Tarte Shape Tape, and this is in the shade Tan. And because I color corrected, I don't have to put too much on. So basically I just do dot, 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 just like that. Very, very simple, very easy, not too much. So I'm just gonna press that into the skin with my brush. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and use concealer. I'm using the Power Fabric Concealer. This is in the shade 4. Here's the packaging right here, in case you guys don't know what it looks like. And then I'm just going to put some on the inner corner. I'm gonna go down my nose too. Highlight my nose, top of my lip. I am gonna go in with this Milani sponge. I've been loving this sponge to do my concealer. I've also loved the bigger one to actually apply foundation. They're just really good sponges. So I'm just gonna press that in. All right guys, so now I'm going to show you a powder that I did not purchase during the Sephora sale, but I did purchase after because I got a notification from Sephora that this powder had just come out. So I went and picked up the mini size of it, and now I'm going to have to get the larger size because this powder is so, so good. This is the One Size Powder by Patrick Starr. This is like the little mini version. So this does come in a bigger size, like I said, and the shades are translucent and dark deep. I actually purchased translucent. And guys, let me just tell you, he claims that this powder is a blurring powder, and he is so right. This powder blurs everything. So what I use it for is I use it under my eyes. I use it right here in my T-zone, above my lip, my chin, and my forehead. So yeah, so I'm gonna use this today. I'm telling you guys, this powder is so good, and I'm just gonna press that on the under eye, and you're gonna see how smooth my under eye looks. Doesn't it look super smooth? Put some on this eye, just pressing it in. And I'm using a Morphe M438 to do that. Now, I will say, do not use like a ton of powder if you're like an older person like me. If you use too much, it can look drying. So basically what I do is I put some in the cap, and I dip my brush in there. I tap off the excess, and then I place it onto those areas. But I love this powder. It makes my makeup look so flawless. It's just a beautiful powder on the skin. So if you get a chance, try this powder. Like I said, they do have a mini, so I would try the mini first just in case you don't like it. But yeah, I am definitely picking up the bigger size. So to powder my face, I'm gonna go in with this number 7 Lift and Illuminate Triple Action finishing powder in medium. I've recently used this again and I fell back in love with it, so I'm gonna use it again today. I'm gonna go ahead and powder the rest of my face. So next I'm gonna go into this product. It's the Sculptured Unlocked palette by Hourglass, and these are the shades right here. This is another product that I am loving. It has a bronzer, a blush, it also has a highlighter, and then like a finishing powder. So I'm gonna be using all of these today. I am gonna go in with the bronzer first. I'm going in with the Sonia G Master Face brush. This is the bronzer right here. So I'm just gonna press my brush into that bronzer. And I thought this bronzer was gonna be really light for me, but it's not. It's like perfect. I'm just gonna bronze my face. It's so pretty on the skin. It's like the perfect shade. Now I'm gonna use the blush shade in here. This one is more of like, it's more of like a pinky mauve tone blush. And I'm using a Sonia G Classic Cheek Brush with that. Then for highlighter, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. So to finish off my face, I'm gonna go into that finishing powder right there. It's in Soft Light. And I'm using the BK104 brush, and I'm just gonna blend everything together with that powder. And that's what it looks like. Just kind of softened up the skin. This is a perfect face palette. You've got your bronzer in there, you've got a really nice blush, you've got your highlighter and an all over face setting powder. So yeah, I really love this. I think it's such a great buy, and it's the mini version. It's not like too big and too bulky. It's just a really nice compact size. All right, so we're gonna finish off this lower lash line. I am gonna take this shade right here, and I'm gonna take a Sonia G Pencil Pro brush, and I'm just going to place that on the lower lash line. Kind of connecting it with what I have on the upper lid. Now I'm going to take this darker shade that I put on the inner and outer corner on my top lid, and I'm going to go in with the same brush, and I'm just going to go as close to the lash line as possible. So for lips, I'm going to go in with the Patrick Ta Oshi Single Lip Liner. And then I'm going to go in with the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude Lipstick in Maria. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go off camera really quickly. I'm going to do my brows and my eyelashes, and I'm going to do something with this hair, and then I'll come back and I'll give you my last thoughts. Okay guys, so let me just tell you real quick what I put on my eyes. I did my eyebrows, and I've been using this e.l.f. brow pencil. I used to love this, and I went back to it. I think this is only like $1 or $2. This is in the shade dark brown. I have been loving this, so I did my brows with that. I also purchased a new Wow Brow by e.l.f. and I used this on top of that. I do have some new lashes on that I really do like. I think they're so pretty. These are the Naked Drama Chiffon Kiss lashes. This is actually the packaging that it comes in. But yeah, I really like them. They're really pretty, they're really dramatic, and they just look really nice and fluffy. The band is pretty thin, so I really didn't have much difficulty putting them on. So yeah, I really like these. First time using them, and they're making me want to buy another pair. Another thing I did was I went in with this light shimmer shade, and I put that on my brow bone just to kind of add that touch of brightness. So yeah, so that was all that I put on when I went off camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap this video up. The two products that really weren't impressive to me and really just didn't do much for me are the Huda Beauty Water Jelly and the Baby One palette by Lawless. These were just two products that I could really do without, but everything else worked out really well. I'm especially loving this palette. I'm super impressed with it. I think all the shades in here are so gorgeous. And like I said in the video, the only bad thing about it, and it's really not a bad thing, if you don't care for a transition shade, is that it didn't have one for me. But that's really not a big deal because a lot of times I do go into other palettes and mix and match, you know, so that's really not a big deal for me. I do have a lot of palettes where there are some great transition colors that I can use with this. So yeah, so I really love this palette and I loved everything else. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care and we will see you on the next one.